Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports Live here Tuesday evening. 1 hour earlier than normal because I got some plans tonight, but wanted to get the stream in today to cover the latest from the Toronto Raptors and their offseason cycle, but also, excuse me, wanted to react a little bit to Canada's men's basketball's elimination, unfortunately, from the Olympics at the hands of host nation France. I made a immediate reaction on the second channel, which is Amateur Sports 2. If you'd like to check that out after the stream today, that was the immediate reaction. But yeah, wanted to give a bit more of my thoughts in the stream today. Wanted to answer your questions potentially about that and anything else you may have in the basketball world and beyond. Feel free to ask away in the chat, as we always like to promote the Q&A and the discussion. But we actually have gotten some decent news in the Raptors cycle this most recent week, so we've got some good stuff to talk about here. Looking to go for about an hour, maybe at least 45 minutes, depending on what we have here. So we shall see. Hope everybody had a great weekend. If you are in Canada, I hope you had a great long weekend. I'm not sure if Americans were also treated to the same long weekend, but I can confirm Canadians did. If you are an avid viewer of amateur sports, you may have noticed I decided usually holidays don't apply to me on this channel. I decided that it was going to apply to me yesterday. I got back. I was away for the weekend. I got back and decided I really wanted Monday to chill. And the fact that there really wasn't much Raptors stuff that was, I'm itching to cover, I decided to take it off. And it was very worthwhile. I'm happy to report. But hope you all are doing exceptional and hope you did do some fun stuff for the long weekend or whatever you did. Hope it was enjoyable. So anyways, what we're going to cover over the course of the stream today, we're going to talk about the Olympics, Canada's elimination, first and foremost. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the former Raptors who are playing extremely well over the course of the Olympics so far. We're going to talk about Jordan Nwora. He's decided to move on from the NBA. He has signed... Where did he sign? He signed somewhere in Europe. We'll talk about him. We'll also talk a bit... I'm coughing a lot. We'll talk a bit about the D'Angelo Russell rumors that started to circulate the Raptors a little bit. And we'll touch briefly on Bruno Fernando, who has just signed for the Raptors. However, I want to save most of that to cover in a full video tomorrow on this channel. Good grief. I don't know why I'm coughing so much. Try to wash that down. Oh, I got a tickle here. I don't know what it is. I'm not sick or anything. But, my goodness. All right. Sorry about that. It sucks to be live and you can't cut that out. But that's what we got on the menu for today. So, for starters, Canada's Olympic bid is over. As I hope you guys were able to watch. But, yeah, Canada lost at the hands of France, the host nation team. If you were not watching the game, basically, Canada started extremely flat. Actually, you know what? I didn't say what's up to the chat. What's up to the chat, first of all? We got Gregory, one of the members here. We got Danbury Sports Highlights, Nebu Solomon, Steve Stevens, and Tom Graham. Thank you so much. Sad day to be Australian Canadian, indeed. I'd say even more sad to be Australian because they had it. They had it. They were up by 24. Everything looked fine and dandy. Not intentionally piling on or anything here, but yeah, for Australia, it was there. They lost a 24-point lead to Serbia. For Canada, opportunity was there to win the game, and the team just didn't show up. I think that's an upsetting part of this. The team did not show up. I'll tell you, did show up. France in the first quarter. They won the first quarter 23-10. And yeah, I mean, Canada spent the entire rest of the game trying to fight their way back from that. In the end, they ran out of time to do it. And France just locked in defensively and got enough of a streamline of points offensively as a result of, well, I'd say largely as a result of the bigs that they had today. Not Rudy Gobert. Funny enough, with Rudy Gobert said he missed today's game because he had a finger injury. The France coach said there was no injury and it was a matchup decision. So I trust the coach more than I trust Rudy Gobert, who has potentially fabricated some things in the past. So That was a strange one, but Rudy Gobert barely played. It was Yabusele of France and Lesor of France who were just insane today. And Canada just didn't have any answer for those guys. That along with Cordonier, who had an amazing first quarter, went 4 of 5 from 3. And Evan Fournier, who went 3 of 6 from 3. It just got piled on too much for Canada to make the comeback. And we have one of our members, 905 Yada, joining. And is re-up membership for 20 months. Thank you so much, 905 Yada, for doing that. I really appreciate all support. Almost 2 years. Get it to 2 years. That's incredible. Thank you so much. Sends in, says, we deserve to lose. Came out with no energy. Yeah. I don't know if it was as much. They looked flat. I'll give you that. To me, they looked more shell-shocked. France, or maybe France brought extra energy. They brought everything to this one. They were energized further by the crowd. The atmosphere was incredible if you were a French player. And yeah, that mixed with Cordonier hitting like every 3 to start the game, Canada just got blown away. They got left in the dust right at the start. And shots just were not falling for them. And in the end, they absolutely deserved to lose. They got outplayed. It is a shame. They had to rely heavily on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this one. They tried to rest him a lot in the first 3 games. There was no chance to rest him here. He had to play 37 minutes, put up 27 points. Fatigue maybe settled in near the end, but still a phenomenal game from Shai. But Canada, it's just a game Canada didn't get the help. You know, Wemby didn't play well on offense. He was 2 of 10 with 7 points. Rudy Gobert played 3 minutes in this one. But it was the other guys stepping up for France. Canada didn't have that. More woes with the bigs, failing to the points. Honestly, Kem Birch, I'm not sure how Powell played 24 minutes and Birch played 8. I thought Birch was great in this one. I'm not saying Powell wasn't like good or anything, but I don't think he was 24 to 8 minutes better than Birch. It sucks Kelly Olynyk was so bad in this tournament. Canada couldn't use him. And yeah, just look at the points here. Dylan Brooks, a rare bad game for Canada. Barrett, Shea, Dort all showed up. But other than that, like another tough game for Lyles. I was hoping he'd have a good tournament. Jamal Murray with his worst game of the tournament by far. Like, not only was he playing poorly, he was chucking this game, which he hadn't done in previous games. Like, he was playing poorly in other games. He was playing a role, right? And he knew his role. Today, he foregoed? Today, he decided to forego that role he had, and he was bad. Turned the ball over a few times, a couple ugly ones. Wasn't knocking down his shots. It was bad. Also a shame Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't show up to the tournament. I mean, he was there, but he didn't show up figuratively. He was so good at the FIBA World Cup, and he just right from the start, just could not get any shots to fall. I think he'll walk away from the Olympics with 1 point. I think he had 1 free throw made in the third group game, and he had 0 points in the first 2 games. Oh, sorry, he had 2 points this when he made 2 free throws. So he had 3 points, I think, in Olympics. No field goals made. No minutes today because he didn't deserve him. Nemar gets 15 minutes, doesn't take a single shot today. 1 assist, just cardio, man. It's such a shame that nobody else shows up for Canada, man. Awful feeling. Yeah. Before I get to Justice comment there, thank you so much to Gregory for sending in the super chat. I really appreciate that. Gregory, one of the members, 6 months plus, says, shout out to Yada. Shout out indeed, and paid it for. Thank you so much, Gregory. Honestly, appreciate that, guys. Helps drive the content, man. The minimum I ask, I don't ask of anything, but the minimum you can do, not the minimum, the best, like the amazing thing that people do for the channel. I'm not calling it minimum. Amazing thing that people do for the channel is click on the videos and streams. That's amazing. But the fact that people go beyond like that, by liking, by subscribing, by commenting, by getting involved in the chat, by becoming members, by sending in super chats. Honestly, it's fantastic, and it really does continue to drive me and the content forward. So I really appreciate that. Justin James says questionable calls, but overall poor out of Canada. Yeah, I said on Twitter, the refs weren't helping the Canada team. They deserve to lose, but a couple calls in some pivotal moments of the late third, early fourth. Lesor, I think it was, on France, two-hand shoved a guy. I think it was Shea in the back, got the entry pass, which led to his handoff assist. One, Trey Lyles got called for an over the back on a defensive rebound when it was Lesor who fell back into him. Some poor officiating there. Jamal Murray got fouled on one of his turnovers. He went to go around the defender for a pass. He got fouled, ended up going out of bounds off of him. So, yeah, a couple of key moments don't go our way foul-wise, but Canada, like Yada said, like I said, they deserve to lose this one. It's really good. Look at this. Rouge River. I think this is in Markham. Yeah, Markham, Ontario. Rouge River. Having the Dankzilla for the first time. Double hazy IPA. 8.4%. Jesus. 8.4. It certainly doesn't taste like that. It tastes like a 6.7. Yeah, that's tasty. Gurman joins the chat, says, what's going on? Or what's good? Hope you doing disappoint. Oh, hope you doing disappointed. I hope that means how you doing. Comma, disappointing end to Canada Olympic campaign. Down to question call. We should have had to start off way better. I'm not where we will be back. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to remember for this team. You know, I remember 3 years ago, we watched along the preliminaries for the Olympics where Canada was in the qualification phase. They had to win their group to qualify for the Olympics. And they ended up losing to Greece. And I believe they lost their next game. I can't confirm. I actually don't know. Canada men's basketball 2021 Olympic qualifier. I remember they lost to Greece pretty comfortably in that one. And I think they were playing in BC as well. So they were they were like a home team. Yeah, they did. They lost to Greece, and they lost to Czech Republic. So it was Czech Republic. See, I in my head I'm like, I think they lost to Czech Republic. And oh no, they did beat Greece. How about that? So they beat Greece, and then they played in the semifinal against Czech Republic, and they lost that game. Or then Czech Republic, now Czechia. Interesting. In OT. So this eliminated them last time they were trying to vie for an Olympic spot. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, why does it look blue? The point I'm trying to make is Canada, 3 years ago, we watched along as they failed to qualify for the Olympics. Here we are 3 years later. You know, they're a FIBA World Cup bronze medalist a year ago. They're an Olympic quarterfinalist. The program has come a very long way in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's going to continue to grow. Players are going to continue to show up to play for the national team. People in chat were mentioning guys like Edey. He would have been fantastic for this tournament with his size. Guys like Wiggins would have been awesome to have played. It's unfortunate the Warriors didn't let him go. Yeah, Canada, we're on an upward trajectory here, man. This ain't no bell curve. We are on, to me, it looks like a linear pathway at the moment. I don't know how you guys feel. It looks blue back here. Why does it look blue? That's better. The closet's a little bit open because my girlfriend's dad's cat is here. We're cat sitting. And the cat likes to perch up in the closet. I have a little drawer back here that it likes to literally spends all day on. So I just leave it open so she can go in and out. She feels like it. I'm not being sloppy. Aviata says, doing better. Batum played 34 minutes and took one shot. Okay, granted, Batum can do that and be effective, right? Batum can do that, have a great block late in the game, and play good defense, right? And space the floor. Like, his mere presence spaces the floor. You can't leave him open, Canada know that. So, as much as it's a cardio game for Batum, like in theory, I mean, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a block, I still think he was effective in the game. But it was just SGA, RJ, and Dort offensively tonight. Cam played solid minutes, limited minutes. Really, those 4 guys. I feel like tonight, decent game for Trey. I didn't think Trey Lyles played that well, to be honest. All tournament, I was a bit let down. But, yeah. It's not much. It's not, Greg. It's not much. It's everything. Listen, just watching the stuff for me is everything. So, any extra support just fuels the content. Fuels the content machine. What happened to Canada? Just they didn't show up for the first quarter, and it burned them. You know, they were in a tough environment, and it got the better of them. Looked like to me. What happened to Canada now that they lost? Are they eliminated for the medal? Yes, they are eliminated in the quarterfinals. They are out completely. They will not partake any further in Olympic men's basketball. So, yeah, players headed home. It sucks, but the program, silver lining, has come a long way for us to get to this point. And to be so disappointed by a quarterfinal exit means we are here. You know, we're a good team. The team is good enough to medal, absolutely, but this is still a very good team. The fact we have to think like that. My cat can sleep on my keyboard on top of it. Thankfully, this cat doesn't do that. I had my parents had a cat, and the cat. So I have my monitor here. I have my laptop off to the side here, right here. I'm looking at it straight. And the cat used to like to. I would close the laptop so the monitor would still be on. The cat liked to perch on that because she did like doing care. This one, thankfully, doesn't do that. That's not my shit. It's crazy. France got 42 free throws. It is crazy, but also, like, some maybe questionable calls, but Canada, the size, they couldn't hang, so they had no choice a lot of the time. Yabusele and Lesor in particular. Like, Canada just didn't have the size. They switched a little too much today. I know it's their bread and butter, but considering the matchups, they switched too much, and France made them pay. Canada were forced to foul a lot of the time. Recently moved to a house with 4 cats. Oh, my God. I'm fine with one. You know, I grew up not being a cat person. Then my parents got one, and the cat was awesome. So now, like, I'm fine with it. But more than one, I feel like it's a bit of a handful. Would we have to qualify now for the next Olympics? Yes. No matter what, I believe you do have to qualify for the next Olympics. I'm not sure how the qualification works for the FIBA World Cup. FIBA World Cup qualification. I actually have no idea. Let's check. You play regular home and away games, apparently. And there's continental cups they play in. The AmeriCup they have to play in. Okay. So, next FIBA World Cup is in 2027. That's what they're qualifying for. Long way to go, but hopefully Canada basketball continues to improve from there. Yeah, a rough shooting night for Canada too. 24% from 3. Not enough guys showed up. It's a shame. Boucher made a post when he was not invited to team camp. Yeah, the thing about Boucher, I mean, I think he would have been useful. It's also important to remember, like, which I didn't know pre-tournament, but I looked into it. Boucher has literally never played for Canada. So it's not that he's not good enough to play for them either. He's never chosen to suit up for Canada. So I think it would have been a bit strange for your first time ever playing for your country to be at the Olympics. Now, granted, there's probably guys on the team that fit into that category that I'm not accounting for. Maybe. Probably not, though. He's never played for Canada. It's tough to just get thrown in like that. Brandon Clark would have been really nice to have this tournament as well. It's a good point. He's been injured, so I forgive him. Not sure how much Ben Mathurin would have done. Would have been good to have. Shaden Sharp would have been nice to have as well. Got good players at home, too. We're disappointed. I wish I could have done watch-alongs for the last 2 games, but during work hours, it was kind of tough. Yeah. I mean, at noon today, middle of the day, just didn't really work out, but it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes life gets in the way a little. All right. Off of Canada, I want to talk about some of the former Raptors taking part in this tournament. who are doing rather exceptionally, or have done rather exceptionally, because we saw on Team Canada Raptors of past and present, some thriving, some not thriving, but some former Raptors were, or at least have been, absolutely sensational in this tournament. So let's take a look back on their Raptors careers, what went wrong, and why it's going so right now at the international level, at potentially the highest level of international basketball. So for starters, the obvious one is, of course, Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was the FIBA World Cup MVP just a year ago, leading Germany all the way to the World Cup title. The Raptors soon after, or actually, was it soon before? The Raptors in that range, I guess it was before that, had signed Dennis Schroeder to essentially replace Fred VanVleet as a starting point guard for the team. It was a signing that Raptors fans were ultimately very excited about, but I wasn't really excited about Dennis Schroeder. In the end, I thought he actually played very well for the Raptors, which is also contrary to the popular opinion of that he did not play well for the Raptors. But things petered out at the trade deadline when Dennis Schroeder was waived. Sorry, not traded. Not waived. Traded. He was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. The Raptors received Spencer Dinwiddie in that trade, and they waived him. Yes, they did waive him. This was a move that was heavily criticized by Raptors fans because they basically gave away Dennis Schroeder for nothing because they got a player and waived him. They paid him not to play for their team. The Raptors were focused on giving other players playing time over Spencer Dinwiddie, which makes sense. And Dennis Schroeder didn't trade him for nothing. They traded him for the cap flexibility for the offseason. That cap flexibility was used when the Raptors traded for 2 additional picks and therefore could afford those salaries, and when they took on some additional pay in a trade with the Sacramento Kings that helped them land Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vezenkov, and again, one of the picks, the 45th overall pick, which ended up becoming Jamal Shead. But questions around Dennis Schroeder, potentially, after some outstanding performances at international level once again, at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Dennis Schroeder has led the German team at the time of recording to the semifinals of the tournament, where there is an opportunity for them to progress even further, potentially going on to win the gold or medal once again in some capacity. In the first game against Japan, Dennis Schroeder had 13 points, 12 assists. Second game, 20 points, 6 assists. That was against Brazil. Third game against France, this might be his cream of the crop. 26 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, and in the quarterfinal win over Greece, 13 points, 8 assists. Dennis Schroeder has been sensational once again at the international level. Would this have been somebody the Raptors could have used? They traded him essentially for nothing. Yes, they got the salary, but would that salary have been better served going towards Schroeder, who could potentially help the team win? The Raptors, as much as they're in a rebuild phase, they still want to win some games. Could he help them do that? Well, I mean, we've seen this movie already. This is the thing. We have seen this movie already. Dennis Schroeder, like I said, was exceptional at the FIBA World Cup, MVP. But we've always known that FIBA Dennis Schroeder is different. It's different to what he brings to the NBA. That cap flexibility, as I described, was very important for the team to have. Very important for the team to have, right? Dennis Schroeder, we saw what he does in the NBA. We know at this point what Dennis Schroeder is in the NBA. So there's nothing really crazy that the Raptors are going to be missing out on overall here. Maybe do I wish some things would have gone a bit smoother this season with Schroeder? Sure, but in the end, we know who Dennis Schroeder is. It's a different game. It absolutely is a different game. Dennis Schroeder is absolutely showing that. But another former Raptor has made some headlines, including some headlines today after his performance against Team USA, albeit in a loss for Brazil. But the infamous Bruno Caboclo, former Raptors first-round pick, was on a tear in the last couple of games at the Olympics. First 2 games, okay. Bruno against France, classic Bruno at FIBA. Foul trouble Bruno. I didn't even write down his stat line because it was cardio. I don't think he registered any significant stat going towards the box score. Nothing against France. Followed that up with a bit of a dud against Germany. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. But His next 2 games, particularly the third group game, this is what got the fans talking, because Bruno Caboclo against Japan. Oh my goodness. 33 points, 17 rebounds, 9 of which offensive rebounds, 13 of 19 from the field. They might say, okay, Japan's a good basketball team. Not a lot of bigs. They have a naturalized American, something Hawkinson. I'm not sure. Maybe there's more rebounding opportunities there. Maybe size advantage for Bruno is more important there. He also went 4-4 from 3. But that wasn't enough. He follows it up against a very large team, the United States of America. Albeit in a big loss, Bruno drops 30 points and 6 rebounds against Team USA. Bruno Caboclo bounced around a little bit in the NBA after getting drafted by the Toronto Raptors, turned into a little bit of a meme, the classic 2 years away from being 2 years away. But, I think Bruno is a fantastic example of you don't need to be a successful NBA player to have a successful professional basketball career, because all Bruno has done since being a relative nobody for the NBA. He spent time with the Raptors, did nothing. Spent time with the Kings, did nothing. Spent time with the Grizzlies, where he was actually decent for half a season. Did spend time with the Rockets, did nothing. But then his career abroad is where it took off. First of all, playing with Sao Paulo in Brazil, won the Continental Tournament in South America, was the Finals MVP, I believe, of there. I think he also won the Brazilian League with Sao Paulo, where he also won the Most Valuable Player, the MVP. So, league champion, Continental Tournament. He definitely won the Continental Tournament with Sao Paulo, was MVP, and I believe he was also league MVP, though I'm not 100% sure if he won the league. Regardless, then, if it wasn't enough to have success in South America, went to Germany, the Bundesliga, where he's joined Ratio Farm won the Bundesliga with them, made first team all Bundesliga that season, and Germany, as we've seen with their international team, how good the German team is, Germany has a very good basketball league as well, and he was first team all Bundesliga over there. He's been all Euro Cup second team as well this season, playing with Partizan Belgrade, and he's had continuous success playing for Brazil. So it's an indication that you don't need to have success in the NBA to have a successful pro career. And all this stuff is very easily accessible. Just go to Bruno Caboclo's Wikipedia page. But all he's really known for is his failed attempts in the NBA. However, at this point, looking at what Bruno Caboclo has accomplished, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's got a spot in the NBA, especially an NBA that's becoming way more switchable. Bruno's not the biggest guy, but the reason the Raptors wanted him when they drafted him was the length. Masai was so hell-bent on finding the next Giannis that he was looking for it anywhere, and he thought he had it with Bruno Caboclo. He was so scared somebody would draft him out from under him and he wouldn't get his opportunity to work with him. Obviously, a very large blemish on Masai Ujiri and the Raptors' draft history, which has been very successful in the last decade plus. But I think at this point, it's pretty fair to say Bruno is good enough to have some sort of a role in the NBA. But for me, he's been so successful abroad. Just stick to what's working. More of the money's in the NBA for sure, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have to see if Bruno Caboclo could be good enough to find a backup role somewhere in the NBA. And a team that could use a big and a bit of rim protection, some switchable defense, is the Toronto Raptors. I'm not sure if there's bad blood there or what. I don't think anything's going to happen, but Bruno Caboclo, certainly an interesting case and certainly a very good case study for any player who doesn't succeed in the NBA. Just because you don't succeed in the NBA doesn't mean you can't succeed elsewhere. So there's a report on a couple former Raptors, making waves at Paris 2024. I don't know how you guys feel. What's your thoughts on Bruno Caboclo? Because every time I see Bruno Caboclo at a FIBA tournament, people just go, "Wow, he's improved a lot." But he's been really good for a while now, Give Scotty Canadian citizenship. Canada don't have so at FIBA tournaments, you're allowed one naturalized player, so a player who's converted to your nationality. So for example, the Americans, Joel Embiid is a naturalized American. They can only have one player like that. Greece had that guy, Thomas Walkup, who's American. Canada could get an American to convert to a Canadian and suit for them, or any nationality for that matter. I don't expect Scotty Barnes would do that. I imagine he's proud to be American, so I'm sure he wants to play for Team USA one day, but that would be a fun little thing to float around to him. Hey, man, would you consider with that citizenship? No, he's probably not. He probably doesn't have citizenship. Would you consider getting citizenship? You know, playing for Team Canada? That'd be crazy. Raptors on the pathway forward, hopefully. I wouldn't go as far as say they suck. We're on the pathway forward. But signing Bruno Caboclo probably wouldn't help that. But I do feel like he could take another crack at the NBA and potentially find some success over there, you know? That's in there. But I did mention there that the Raptors, they do need some help in the big positions. And the guy they did sign was Bruno Fernando. So Bruno Fernando signed on an interesting contract. It's interesting that he only got this. Coming off of, albeit a modest, but it's Bruno Fernando's most successive season in the NBA. Waived by the Hawks, and the Raptors took on the opportunity to sign him. Bruno Fernando played a couple seasons of college ball with Maryland. I really liked him in college. I thought he'd have a good NBA career. It hasn't exactly panned out that way, but the Raptors have signed him on a contract that it's just a camp deal, basically. If you don't make the team, no money guaranteed. It's just getting paid through camp. But I initially, when it happened, I'm like, okay, Raptors probably see their training camp. They see they don't really have a lot of bigs. They probably just think, this was my initial thought, just bring in a guy who can protect the rim, plays a big, to help with literally practices in summer league. Literally sign this guy to practice with us. That's kind of how I looked at this. Then I actually went through the Raptors roster. There's just not really a lot of players that are going to command a roster spot. So I think he has every possibility of making the final roster. He's an interesting signing for sure. Gurman asked in chat, he says, have you heard the reports of the Raptors being interested in D'Angelo Russell? Possible deal is Bruce Brown for D'Angelo Russell and D'Angelo Russell cap filling protected first. Well, in fact, I have heard about that. Let's talk about it. The rumor mill is turning surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. Once again, of course, they're trying to move a few players. One of those players is D'Angelo Russell, and reports suggest that among the interested teams are the Toronto Raptors. So could this deal happen? What do I think the deal would look like? Let's cover it here. So D'Angelo Russell is an interesting case because I don't know how to feel about D'Angelo Russell. I am certainly on the pessimistic side of D'Angelo Russell's basketballing ability. And I think that a lot of teams kind of recognize that in the offseason. It was revealed in, I think it was like February or March, that D'Angelo Russell would not be taking on his player option for the upcoming season, and he was going to test free agency. Now, granted, a lot of players felt this way, didn't get the money they were looking for in the offseason. Gary Trent's one of them. Caleb Martin's one of them. D'Angelo Russell is one of them as well. So he ended up taking on the final year of his contract as a player option with the Los Angeles Lakers, worth about $18.5 million, again, on that player option. I think when the Lakers gave him this contract, it was a bit overpaid. I didn't think there'd be a big market out there for D'Angelo Russell, but in the final year of his contract, LeBron ain't getting any younger. The Lakers are really trying to push to make a move. So how good is Russell? Last season, I think he actually took a bit of a good step in the right direction. Ended up shooting the ball really well from three for the Lakers. Not tremendous from the field, but I think it's fine for who he is. 46% from the field. That's better than a lot of other years. He's a career 43% shooter from the field. And he shot the ball almost 42% from three. Way higher than his career average of 47%. You know, it pays to play with really good players around you to give you that extra space. But it was an impressive year from the D'Angelo Russell, who averaged 18 points per game. Where problems started to arise was once again the playoffs. D'Angelo Russell is a bad defender. And in the playoffs, he gets exposed as such, and he's played off the floor consistently. Paradise Lost in chat says D'Lo disappears in the playoffs. Yes, consistently disappears in the playoffs. The Raptors at this point could probably use a little bit of floor spacing, but I'm not sure how consistent his three-point ball will be, especially on a team that lacks spacing to begin with and doesn't have the same sort of gravity players that the Lakers do. That everyone's collapsing on Braun, everyone's collapsing on AD, not as much space afforded to him. But where I think his shot selection and his defense are reasons to avoid and reasons why he's probably never going to make that sort of money again. I'm just a little bit confused why he thought there was a bigger market out there. A little bit confused as to why the Lakers did bring him back. But he is going to be back for another season if they cannot trade him. An interesting wrinkle with D'Angelo Russell is, like, at least there's some personal ties, and I don't think he'd reject the idea of playing for Toronto. Every summer, D'Angelo Russell is in Toronto, is in Canada, looking for places to play basketball. It's a yearly sort of occurrence. Last year, he was at the Raptors training facility in the summer. Last year, there were videos of him. I think it was at UFT. He was looking for pickup ball in Toronto last month. D'Angelo Russell's girlfriend is Canadian, so every year he does end up coming to Canada and to Toronto. So he seems to like it here enough, and he seems to at least be open to the idea of coming here. What would the trade look like? Well, somebody in the chat mentioned that some of the rumors are this is the Bruce Brown trade, which would make a good degree of sense. But for the Lakers, for us to take on this salary, we're not just going to take on D'Angelo Russell as a favor to the Los Angeles Lakers here. What it's going to have to come down to is are the Lakers desperate enough to move one of the future picks or the future pick? There's not a ton of flexibility when it comes to a Lakers trade involving picks, but it's not like the Raptors can get nothing out of this. Good time for this to crash. It's not like the Raptors can go into this and get nothing out of it. So what it would have to come down to, we'll take Bruce Brown, send him to the Lakers. We'll accept his player option, accept his team option, which has already been done. We'll send him over to the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell comes back the other way. Lakers are close to the tax, so they got to give back more salary to make this happen. The pick that's got to come to the Raptors, it's the 2029 first. I think the Lakers are going to fall off a cliff when LeBron leaves. That's going to be a valuable pick. This doesn't go through because we need to get additional $4.3 million from the Lakers. So are the Lakers willing to give away the first-round pick there? Because the Raptors are in such a good salary position right now after the Sasha Vezenkov buyout for free, they could take on perhaps a player like Jared Vanderbilt, and this trade could go through. That's another player they're trying to get rid of. You could take out Jared Vanderbilt, add in Gabe Vincent instead. That's a little bit too many guards for my liking, but you could do it. That trade would also work. So there's options here as far as the trade is concerned. For the Raptors, it'd be tough to use D'Angelo Russell. You've got quickly already here, who's your lead guard? Davion Mitchell's defense is welcome to have off the bench. D'Angelo Russell, maybe there's some sort of role there, using D'Angelo Russell off the bench. You can't start him. I wouldn't start him. I mean, you could start him as a two guard, but I prefer just to focus on playing guys like Grady Dick. But if the Raptors can, look, I don't like D'Angelo Russell, but if the Raptors can get Vando out of this and a first, my goodness, all of a sudden this becomes a very interesting situation for the Raptors because I think, again, that 2029 first-round pick has a lot of value coming out of the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, think about, they're already not that good. They're already a play-in team even with LeBron and AD. Once those guys are gone, if they can't replenish those positions in free agency, they don't have trade assets to make that trade with, and if they give away the pick especially, this is going to be a horrible team in 5 years' time potentially. That pick is valuable. You get another player, like I said, whether it's Vanderbilt, who is a great wing defender, which is something the Raptors really need right now. Wouldn't love to have Gabe Vincent for $11 million a year. I like Gabe Vincent. There's not a ton of room for him right now. And coming off of that injury, he's very questionable, to say the least, as far as what his effect and value is going to be on a day-to-day basis. But overall, yeah, if the Lakers are desperate enough to really want to trade D'Lo, this is something the Raptors should explore. In the end, the Lakers are going to be at least somewhat smart here, probably. They are going to recognize that this is their final trade chip to give LeBron and AD help toward the championship. Is that trade chip worthy of Bruce Brown? Maybe they think that. You know, Bruce Brown, just over a year ago, helped the Denver Nuggets win a championship, played a pivotal role there. Can he do something sort of the same for the Raptors or for the Lakers? Maybe they think so. Maybe they do. But in the end, again, don't know if they go that high, but if they do, Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, get that boy, Rob Pelinka, on the phone and try to get that pick. Other than that, I wouldn't do it. It's probably too much for the Lakers, but I don't really see any other way this trade goes down. I'm not a huge fan of D'Angelo Russell, and I really can't imagine the front office being terribly fond of his play style. So in the end, probably won't happen. Just something to keep in mind there. Probably not something that is going to go down. It would be very nice. It would be very nice, though. Could you imagine if we got that Lakers pick? I'd be parading in the streets almost. I might be parading in the streets. It'd be cool for him. It'd be cool for D'Lo. Maybe they get him and buy him out. Who knows? Probably not, though. 18 minutes is too much probably to buy out for a whole year. Getting Jalen Hood-Schifino in that deal would also be pretty interesting. Didn't have a good first year with the Lakers. Didn't get a great opportunity, but I do like Jalen Hood-Schifino. I liked him pre-draft. Bruce Brown is going to be a Raptor, by the way. I'm a fun guy, so I'll puke if we have to watch Bruce Brown play ball. He's going to be a Raptor to start the season. Very likely. I hope he doesn't start over Grady Dick. I'd be a little bit sour if that was the case. He's a good player. I think he'll show that more this time, but I will be slightly soured to see Grady Dick still not starting. I think he's got his trade value. I don't think starting him changes that. I don't think it changes it that much, but I think he can still maintain trade value coming off the bench. Brown, Abaji, 2026 Indiana first, and our 2025 first for Kawhi. Running back with quickly Barrett, Kawhi, Barnes. Kawhi is tough to shell out for at this day and age, but 2 picks, Bruce Brown, Abaji. I mean, that's worth it. It is. I mean, it's worth it. He's on 3 years. Yeah, you get him for 3 years. He's unreliable, but man, 3 years of Kawhi with Barnes, quickly Barrett, Pirtle. That's a really freaking good basketball team. Clippers wouldn't do that, though. I would love to get Koloko. The Bruno Fernando signing kind of screams to me that Koloko's return isn't imminent, but when his return does happen, I really hope it's the Raptors who are in on that one, for sure. Yeah, we are. This team is begging for a defender like Christian Koloko, a rim protector like him. It's so sad. I did a video on him on this channel on Friday. It's so sad how it's come to this, but hopefully, he's been medically cleared to play basketball, not medically cleared to return to the NBA, but he's been medically cleared to play basketball. Maybe an NBA clearance is soon to follow. And if it is, Raptors have been keeping tabs on him. Hopefully they are aware of that whole situation. All right, guys, we're 50 minutes in. I've covered what I wanted to cover from today's stream. Tomorrow, look out for a Bruno Fernando video. Talk about what he can bring to the team. We'll talk about Bruno Fernando. In the Thursday stream, we'll have some more Raptors stuff to cover. Be here at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. Actually, let me just double check I'm doing that stream. Yeah, sorry. Word is Coloco's been playing the whole time. Correct, but not at like probably vigorous levels with other players. Thursday I'll be streaming same time. Friday I'll have another video. And yeah, that's what we got. So this channel, Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos. Usually this Monday's a holiday. I took off. Tuesday, Thursday streams. Second channel, Tuesday, Thursday video uploads. Reactions channel. You ever miss a stream? Check out the best clips and highlights on the reactions channel at Amateur Reaction. And close to 2,000 subs over there. Thank you all. Have a great middle portion of your week. Hope to see you at the Bruno Fernando video tomorrow. If not, hopefully see you at the Thursday stream.